I can't deal with simulators. And their new ride is literally like you're riding a dragon, like one of the Banshee things from the movie, through a giant simulator that goes upside down and all this crazy stuff, and it like blows things in your face, you know, to make you feel like you're there. And my kid was loving it, and they take, you know, a picture and that stuff with you, and my eyes are closed because I'm just trying not to throw up. Like, oh, like, oh, it's great. Navi, you know, whatever they say. I was like, and he was like, Dad, you don't look like you're bonding with your dragon. I mean, it's like a big part of it. You're supposed to like bond your tail or whatever it is to the thing, and I was like, you know, just completely sick. So,
you know, vomiting on a dragon is a very bonding experience.
Yeah, right. So we've done different versions of this, you know, before too, like panels and stuff together where we talk to you guys about different aspects of both our relationship and the books and all of that. But we want to make sure that you guys feel like you're getting exactly what you want from it too. So we've also done ones where we talk about breaking in and craft, all that kind of different stuff. So for fan experience, what is it that you guys want us to talk about the most? Is there a sense of that from, you know what I mean? From you guys? What would make you the happiest for us to really dive into? What we want to talk about? Sure. Well, we're really excited about metal.
Yeah.
That one's good.
Yeah.
Right?
So we already had our first fight with DC. Well, actually, it's our second fight. All right.
They didn't like the title at first.
Well, one guy who will remain unnamed didn't like the title.
That's true. That's true.
But he's a guy high up, so let's fight.
The great thing, one of the great things about being partners with Greg is we have like completely different approaches to a fight. I always like want to engage them and just like convince them.
And I'm Sicilian.
He's always just like, just stop answering their calls. And I'm like, how am I supposed to do that? And he's like, just do it. And then you do it, and it totally works because they freak out. They think you're talking to Marvel. They think you're like, so they start calling all the time. But it's really hard for me because I just want to keep talking to them constantly.
Whereas most of my family don't even talk to each other anymore.
I'm always like, but another point, Exhibit C, you know, and but his way works a lot better. But first of all, let's just say thank you so much to you guys. You guys are our hardcore fans, and paying to come in and hang out with us means a lot to us, you know, sincerely. And we think you guys as family. I think one of the reasons that we enjoy doing these and working together is that when I look back at our run and that stuff for us, like, so much of it is looking back and seeing like, you have your favorite issues for stuff that happened, like one-liners from Batman and all that, and I have those too. But I look at it also as like a whole trajectory of our relationship. So I see points along the way, like issue 5, where everything turned around, where that was the first time I really learned how to trust an artist like Greg and give him room, and I never knew how to do that before. And then I can think of other points along the way where it's almost like, you know, he stuck up for me, I stuck up for him, I was going through a hard time, he was going through a hard time, anything like that. So you guys are a part of that for us, is what I'm getting at, in the way that I hope, you know that for us, our whole run and all of that is intertwined with our relationship with you guys, and it means a lot to see you and to have you here and to be excited together for the stuff coming out like metal.
A fan said to me yesterday in line, after I signed some stuff for me, he's a big fan, you know, said a lot of nice things and everything, and he goes, I feel bad that you guys are so underrated. I look out at you guys, I don't feel very underrated or underappreciated. I think, you know, we got a pretty big army of people who support us and are keeping us going. So, thank you guys. Maybe you can talk to that guy later on. But yeah, seriously, thank you. You know, so we got this summer event coming called Metal, and you know, we've had a couple little, you know, struggles to get it off the ground exactly the way we want to do it, but I think we're on track now, and you can expect a lot of big, bombastic, rock and roll kind of stuff. And Scott's got his first 28 pages, and I was given a fight scene now. It's the JLA in an arena in outer space. That sounds pretty cool already, right? Yes. And they're fighting gigantic 15-foot tall robots that are designed to take out each one of them specifically.
Made by Toyman, also, who's being held captive there.
Now that's a pretty good opening scene, right? So, you know, not wanting to cheat you guys or myself, you know, I read this thing and the editor had shoved it into 7-page space, and I go, I can't do this scene in 7 pages. So I opened up, so you got to look forward to 11 pages of just incredible JLA action in an arena in space fighting 15 15-foot tall robots designed to take each one of them out specifically. So there's our beginning.
That's just the beginning of that scene too. Like the scene is built for you to get to the end of it and be like, they're not going to do what I think they're going to do. And then you get there, and Cyborg even says it. He's like, I hope this doesn't do what I think it's going to do. And Barry's like, I hope it does. It gives you a giant reveal where you're like, oh, this is going to. We want it to just be like, you get there and you're like, the spirit of this thing is fun and rock and roll. We want you guys to feel rewarded. You know, one of the things with these kind of events, and we always tried this on Batman, I think, pretty strongly, was that we try to be very aware of what you guys pay for the comic. And, you know, growing up for me, you know, I would go with my dad to the store every week, and it really was sort of something where, you know, the price has gone up so much that we want to stuff it with things that you feel like you're getting more than your money's worth each time. So that scene in particular for us.
Pretty soon they're going to make the price so high I can't even do it. I'll kill myself trying to give you the money for it. I'm dead.
Yeah, so even something like that, we want it to be like you get there and you get the spirit of where you just know from go, like this is going to be something that announces itself as fun, over the top. We just, you know, it's like he was saying with the fights with DC. I mean, over the year, like overall, they've been really good to us over the years. But there are things like that page turn on page 5, or certain aspects when the Jim Gordon stuff actually went over really well, but other things didn't that you wouldn't expect. And one of the great things of working together is that I believe in his creative vision 1,000%. So when he sends in something that he loves, I know that I'm on board. And if I send in something that they're not into, you know, that I like, he sticks up for me. So we get this incredible sort of lock arms thing. I will actually text him and be like, it might be time for us to like lock arms and go up against him about something. Even when it's not even like on their radar yet, I'll be like, this might be a fight 3 weeks from now, so get ready, you know, and all that stuff. So
and the thing is, though, in the totality, they haven't followed us very much. And I mean, because just as we've gained trust for each other, you know, they have a certain degree of trust. You know, for us, obviously, you know, we've done okay by them, you know, just as they've done okay by us. But as Scott says, you know, every once in a while, and I'll just tell you a funny little bit. It'll give you insight to what a madman I am and what my wife has to put up with and what we're talking about here. So, I have to do the cover for number 1. And I know full well, you know, the kind of cover that they really want me to do. But it's one of those things that I've seen a zillion, trillion times, and so have all of you since we were little kids collecting comic books. So I spent like 3 days, you know, going, how do I not do that? And the third day, a lightning bolt came out of the sky, and all things just crystallized, and I go, I got it. And but I already anticipated a fight, because the shot that I know they want, right? And so I go, I know this is gonna be a fight. So I copy Jim Lee and everybody, right? Because he's an artist. So I go, okay, you know, maybe I get an artist on my side with that. And I go, you know, let me do this thing here, because I know they don't want me to do this thing here. And so it's kind of thing or whatever, I start revving up for the fight before there's a fight. And so my wife is watching me get all, you know, I'm bristling up, I'm ready to fight, you know, and she's going, what are you getting so upset about? Nobody has told you no. Yeah, but it's coming to fight. You know? And then Jim Lee sends me an email with just 3 thumbs up. And I go, Jim said it's cool. And she goes, see? Exactly nothing. I tell you all the time, you get upset for nothing. You make problems before the problems arrive.
that's his voice for me also.
And then the next day, somebody else sends me an email, I'm just not feeling in my gut. And so I shove that in my wife's face. See, I told you there was a fight coming. Now I'm ready. You know, so she had me on the first bet, but I got her on the final turn. So anyway, thankfully to some of the people who really support us, they go, you know what? And I guess it was really Jim Lee, because I brought the fight to the top, guys. Because why go anywhere but the top, right? And it was great because Jim Lee said if an artist feels, if Greg feels that passionately about this piece of art, then you can't argue with it. So there's the artist guy who understands what it is. So I hope you like the cover now, because otherwise I'm going to take a lot of heat from DC. So even if you hate the cover, No, don't say it. I want it to be a surprise. And but even if you hate it, please say that you love it. Not in front of me, but in front of our bosses. You know, go, no, that was brilliant. That was brilliant, man. Boy, that was terrible. But we loved it. You know, otherwise I'm like, ooh, we told you, Greg.
So I didn't realize, he was just saying, so I know it's a signing as well. He was concerned that we want to get to everybody with everything that you guys have, I guess.
Yeah.
In that way, so if you guys have any quick questions or anything you really want
That's a good idea.
before we
Let me
sign,
ask some questions.
and then we'll just jump into signing so we make sure we get to everybody.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
What was your favorite comic book character growing up?
Me?
Mine?
Or his?
Both of you.
We have the same one.
Well, you're gonna go right straight to Batman, right?
It always was. It was.
Well, to me, and there wasn't one particular one. I mean, you know, growing up, you know, I was more a Marvel guy, but of course I had my Batman books, some Superman and some JLA and all that stuff. I had all that stuff. But I couldn't pinpoint, you know, exactly. Like, you know, I love the Fantastic Four, but why do I like the Fantastic Four so much? Because I like Ben Grimm, and why else like the Hulk? So maybe I like the characters. So it wasn't like I had one specific one, you know. I more or less, you know, I liked a lot of different ones, and from there I tended to gravitate toward my favorite artists, whether it was Neil Adams or, you know, who's doing Batman or whatever, or John Buscema who's doing everything, you know. So that was how I was. So, Scott, what about you?
Mine was Batman. I had I grew up in New York City, and I came of age, you know, in the '80s, and it really was a moment when Batman became incredibly real to me, where he was in year one kind of facing things that felt like the city that I knew, right? And Times Square and Hell's Kitchen and all that stuff. And also Dark Knight Returns just blew my mind. I still have my original 4 issues from that because I never realized how big a superhero could get, where in one book you have things about the fears of the Cold War and all of these things that felt larger than life, and yet it could also be so intimate about mortality. And so for me, Batman just kind of not came of age, but went through kind of an evolution at that particular moment, right as I was growing up, and they were all a little above my head. So for me, and then there was always a version of Batman that stayed with me. So there were those when I was a kid. Then I went back and read all the Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams stuff and all that. And then the animated series started right when I was starting to fall out of comics, because before the digital age, I went to college in Providence, and they didn't have a comic store. And so I had a subscription, but as a college kid, you just start falling out with all the work you have if you don't have a store you can go to, at least for me. So the animated series really kept me involved. Like, I love that so deeply, and it's in the DNA of our stuff. And then when I got out, it was, you know, Hush, all that kind of stuff was going on. So there was always sort of a version of Batman that kept me really invested in the character and the mythology in a way that made him important and relevant to me, you know.
Todd McFarlane stopped by your metal thing.
Yeah.
I was saying, I ended up talking to him, he said he dropped something off to you. Is it something in the works?
Well, it was an STD, but no. Penicillin, and it should be okay. No, he dropped me off 2 discs that contain all the digital files for the first and second arc of the Creech, because I do plan on bringing that back, and so at some point I want to contain them all under one roof and all that stuff like that. So his technology has changed from the first time, you know, which was using film to, you know, whatever. Now, you know, I just have it now in a very convenient format, which is, you know, how we do it nowadays. So yeah, that's what he dropped off. I'll tell you, I don't know if, you know, were you guys all at the panel yesterday? Every one of you? No? All right, so let me tell you the Todd McFarlane story of why he was here even. Okay, so I live in New York, and Todd lives in Phoenix. And he was planning a surprise visit to me. So, because he's going ultimately to Israel to visit his daughter, who is practicing medicine there. And so he goes, you know, I'm going to surprise Greg, and I'm going to fly into New York, I'm going to go to Penn Station, take a train to it, so I can see him. And so then last minute, something got in his head, you know, I better just check, make sure, you know, he's home. And then he texts me and finds out I'm in Orlando. And he goes, I guess if I went to your house, I'd take a selfie in front of your doorstep and go, I tried. So he got on a plane to come here in Orlando. And so I just been complaining to him and about this little battle I gotten through. And he goes, I got the perfect thing to make you feel better. This was the setup. So he goes, I got a guy. He's going to deliver it to your hotel room. Give me the information. It's a tall blonde dude. I know him there, and he's going to give this thing to you. It's going to put a smile on your face right away. And so the doc comes on the door, and I open it up, and there's Todd McFarlane, right? So I just, yeah, he's right, man. It put a big giant smile on my face. So then he says, oh, I'm going to crash your panel. And the ones who were there got the benefit of Todd's humor.
He asked one question, it was like, I want to know in copious detail why Spawn is better than Batman.
And that's the short version of how he asked the question, yeah.
One more and then we should sign, yeah. Last thing?
Any potential chance for another Batman Spawn crossover?
We announced that a while back, a long while back at San Diego Comic-Con. I was sure excited to do it, and then I guess they couldn't get on the right terms, and Todd blamed himself for it. I would love to do it, especially now that I've done Batman for a while. So now it's perfect, At the time, I'd only done Spawn. So maybe I'll nudge him a little bit at some point, because it would be very cool and fun to do that, and now I know how to draw both characters very well. So yeah, I'd love it.
So for the signing, will you just do us a favor, and if you have stuff that's bagged, will you just take it out beforehand? Because it's hard, we always wind up either, ripping it or whatever, so.
We don't want to kick our ass, we really don't.
All right, so we're gonna sit over here, and we'll be all set. Thank
All
you
right.
guys so much.